Your prefrontal cortex, the brain's center for memory, planning, and decision-making, requires conscious motor demand to activate, and forward walking, no matter how much of it you do, does not deliver that demand. Peer-reviewed research on adults 65 to 75 found that 6 weeks of 10-minute backward walking sessions produced measurable gains in the very cognitive functions most at risk with age. Backward walking, or retro walking, is one of the most researched and least prescribed tools in senior physical therapy. It activates a part of your brain that forward walking completely bypasses. And a new randomized controlled trial, launched by the Assistance Publique Network of Paris hospitals, is currently studying whether it is associated with better fall outcomes in adults over 75. Your number to track today is 10, the number of minutes that research associates with measurable benefit. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why that number works and how to do it safely from your own hallway. Here is what happens the moment you take a step backward. Your visual system faces forward, your balance sensors are calibrated for forward motion, your motor planning is wired from childhood entirely for the path ahead. Reversing that direction forces every one of those systems to recalibrate simultaneously. UCLA Health reports that several studies have found backward walking increases activity specifically in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for problem-solving, logic, and decision-making. That is not a region that lights up during a normal walk to the mailbox. What makes this remarkable is that the prefrontal cortex is exactly the area that tends to lose volume and speed first as we age. So every backward step is, in a very real sense, a direct workout for the part of the brain you most want to protect. And the stranger finding comes next. Here is a finding that stopped researchers. In one study, participants did not even stand up. They sat completely still and only visualized the act of walking backward, and they still improved their scores on a memory test. Just imagining the movement was enough to shift cognition. A 2019 study published in the journal Cognition found that actually walking backward for 10 to 15 minutes was associated with improved short-term memory in participants. A 2025 study from Dayananda Sagar University took this further, recruiting 36 adults aged 65 to 75 and having them train 3 times a week for 6 weeks using 4-minute retro walking sets. The researchers measured change using the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, a validated clinical tool. The results supported what the visualization study hinted at. Reversing your direction appears to engage your brain's memory processing systems in a way that ordinary forward walking does not. The question is why, and the answer changes how you think about every walk you take. Researchers at UCLA put it plainly. The precise connection between retro walking and improved cognition is not yet fully understood, but they suspect the increased physical complexity somehow supports the brain's data processing centers. That is actually the mechanism. When a movement is unfamiliar, the brain cannot run it on autopilot. It has to consciously plan every single step, where your foot will land, how to maintain your center of gravity without seeing what is behind you, how to integrate balance signals that are suddenly giving contradictory information. That level of conscious motor planning is cognitively expensive in the best possible way. It is the same reason learning a new language or a new instrument is associated with stronger neural connections. The brain is being asked to build new wiring. Backward walking is in effect a new language your nervous system has to learn. And here is where the fall prevention research enters, because building that new wiring has a very specific physical payoff. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related hospitalization in adults over 65. The Assistance Publique Network, which operates the public hospitals of Paris, registered a multi-center randomized controlled trial in June 2026, specifically studying whether adding backward walking to standard geriatric rehabilitation is associated with improved balance outcomes in adults over 75 who are already at high fall risk. Participants are followed for 12 months, with monthly check-ins to observe any new incidents. The trial examines whether backward walking, integrated into a geriatric day hospital program, is safe, acceptable, and linked with measurable improvements in stability for this population. This is not a wellness experiment. This is a hospital system investing clinical resources in a movement that most people write off as a party trick. The reason physical therapists have been using retro walking for decades in rehabilitation already gives a strong signal about what the trial expects to observe. Backward walking shifts the mechanical load of every step in a specific and useful direction. In forward walking, your quadriceps work eccentrically. They contract while lengthening, absorbing impact at the knee. That eccentric load is what makes the knee ache when you walk downstairs. In retro walking, the eccentric quadriceps demand drops significantly, while isometric and concentric activity is preserved, which means the quad gets stronger without the compressive force that causes pain. Physical therapists have prescribed it for knee rehabilitation for this reason specifically. At the same time, the glutes, hamstrings, and calf muscles engage in patterns they rarely experience in forward walking. Research shows retro walking is associated with burning up to 40% more calories per minute than forward walking at the same speed, not because it is harder on your joints, but because it is more metabolically demanding on your muscles. The body is working without its usual efficiency shortcuts. That extra demand is precisely what makes it worth doing. UCLA Health notes that as little as 10 to 15 minutes per day is the dose associated with the observed benefits. Here is how to reach that safely. Week 1. 2 minutes only. Use a hallway wall, a treadmill rail, or a sturdy countertop alongside you for confidence. Set a treadmill, if you use one, to its lowest speed, 0.5 to 1.0 miles per hour. The goal is not speed. The goal is controlled, heel-to-toe reversed contact, where your toes touch down first and your heel follows. Week 2, build to 4 or 5 minutes. Week 3, add a second short session later in the day. By week 4, 10 minutes is reachable for most people. The Dayananda Sagar trial used 4-minute sets with 5-minute rest intervals and still measured cognitive improvement in 6 weeks. Outdoors, never walk backward without a clear, flat surface and a partner present. A treadmill or a long hallway is the safest starting environment. The number you are building toward is 10. Write it down. It is your target. 10 minutes. That is the number. Not a guess. It is the dose that multiple studies and clinical programs keep returning to as the threshold where brain and body benefits become measurable. A 2019 study in cognition used 10 to 15 minutes. UCLA Health cites the same range. The Paris Hospital trial is built around sessions of comparable length. 10 minutes of backward walking 3 times a week is less total time than 1 episode of television. What makes it work is not the duration, it is the novelty. Every time you step backward, your prefrontal cortex wakes up to plan the route it cannot see. Your balance system improvises. Your quads and glutes are asked to do something genuinely new. That combination of physical novelty and cognitive demand is the rarest thing available to us as we age, a free, equipment-optional stimulus that asks the brain and the body to adapt at the same time. Aging is not something that happens to you while you sit still. It is something you train. Start with 2 minutes today. Work toward 10. Your brain will notice the difference before your legs do. Your number is 10. Write it somewhere you will see it tomorrow morning. And try 2 minutes in a hallway before the day is out. If you want the companion video on the single leg balance test that predicts stability in the next decade, it is linked right here. And if this gave you something worth keeping, subscribing means the next one finds you too.